He conquered 6 kingdoms. He created an empire unlike anything China had seen before. He commanded armies, silenced opposition, and ordered the construction of an underground world guarded by thousands of soldiers. But Qin Shi Huang feared one enemy more than rebellion: assassination or war, death. In the final years of his life, China's first emperor searched desperately for a way to live forever. He consulted alchemists, he sent expeditions across the sea, and he consumed mysterious medicines that promised immortality. Some of those medicines may have contained mercury. The substance meant to preserve his life may have helped bring it to an end. But his death was only the beginning of the mystery. His closest officials concealed his body, continued issuing orders in his name, and transported him home beside carts of fish intended to hide the smell of decay. Then, before the empire learned that its ruler was dead, a deadly struggle for succession began. This is the story of a man who conquered nearly everything placed before him, but could never conquer his own fear. Before he became Qin Shi Huang, he was known as Yingzheng. He was born in 259 BC during one of the most violent periods in Chinese history. China was not one country. It was divided into rival kingdoms that competed for territory, wealth, and survival. War had become a way of life. When Yingzheng became King of Qin, he was only 13 years old. The young ruler inherited a powerful state, an organized army, and a political system built on strict discipline. But he also inherited enemies on every border. As he grew older, Yingzheng took control of the government and prepared Qin for conquest. Beginning in 230 BC, his armies attacked the remaining rival kingdoms one after another. Han fell first, then Zhao. Wei, Chu, Yan, and Qi followed. By 221 BC, the wars were over. For the first time, the competing states had been brought under one ruler. Yingzheng believed the old title of king was no longer sufficient. He created a new title for himself: Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. He expected his descendants to rule for 10,000 generations, but the dynasty he created would survive for only a few years after his death. Qin Shi Huang did more than conquer territory. He attempted to transform different kingdoms into one functioning empire. Regional currencies were replaced by a standardized system of money. Weights and measurements were unified. The written script was standardized. Roads and canals improved communication across enormous distances. Earlier, defensive walls were connected and expanded along parts of the northern frontier. The emperor divided his territory into administrative regions controlled by officials appointed by the central government. Many of these reforms outlived the Qin dynasty, but unification came at an enormous human cost. Qin government was influenced by legalist ideas that valued order, obedience, and severe punishment. Massive construction projects required vast numbers of laborers. Taxes and compulsory service placed heavy pressure on ordinary families. In 213 BC, the government ordered private copies of certain historical and philosophical works to be destroyed. The purpose was not to burn every book in China, but to restrict ideas that could challenge the new imperial order. The emperor had united the country, but controlling territory was no longer enough. He wanted to control memory, language, movement, and the future. And the more power he accumulated, the more he feared losing it. Power could not protect Qin Shi Huang from assassination. According to the historian Sima Qian, one of the most famous attempts occurred when an assassin named Jing Ke entered the palace carrying a map as a gift. Hidden inside the rolled map was a dagger. When the weapon appeared, the emperor struggled to draw his long sword, while Jing Ke pursued him around a pillar. The attack failed. but experiences like this may have deepened the emperor's fear of death. He began searching for something no army could provide: immortality. Alchemists claimed that rare substances could extend life. Expeditions were sent toward legendary islands believed to contain immortals and magical medicines. One expedition was led by a man named Xu Fu. He sailed east with ships, supplies, and hundreds of people. He never returned with the promised secret. Meanwhile, the emperor reportedly consumed longevity treatments. Some ancient Chinese elixirs contain mercury compounds because mercury's unusual properties were associated with transformation and permanence. We cannot prove that mercury killed Qin Shi Huang. His precise cause of death remains uncertain. But the possibility creates one of history's darkest ironies. In trying to escape death, the emperor may have repeatedly exposed himself to poison. In 210 BC, Qin Shi Huang began another journey through his empire. The emperor had made several such tours. They displayed his authority, allowed him to inspect distant territories, and reminded the population that the first emperor ruled everywhere. But during this journey, his health deteriorated. At Shakyu, far from the imperial capital, Qin Shi Huang died. He was 49 years old. The ruler who intended to establish 10,000 generations of emperors had reportedly left no secure public succession plan. His chief minister, Li Si, feared that announcing the death immediately could cause rebellion. According to Sima Qian's account, Li Si, the official Zhao Gao, and the emperor's younger son Hu Hai decided to conceal what had happened. Meals continued to be delivered to the emperor's carriage. Messages were supposedly received and answered in his name. But summer heat made the deception increasingly difficult. The emperor's body began to decay. Carts filled with fish were reportedly positioned near the imperial carriage to disguise the smell. While the dead emperor traveled home in secret, Zhao Gao and his allies prepared their next move. A decree was allegedly forged. The emperor's eldest son, Fusu, was ordered to take his own life. The younger son, Hu Hai, was placed on the throne. The man who tried to control China's future could no longer control what was being done in his name. Qin Shi Huang was buried beneath an enormous mausoleum near modern Xi'an. Construction had begun when he was still a young king. Sima Qian later claimed that hundreds of thousands of laborers worked on the complex. The emperor was not buried alone. An underground world was created around him. Officials, entertainers, horses, bronze chariots, and thousands of life-size terracotta warriors arranged in military formation. The soldiers were discovered accidentally in 1974 when local farmers were digging a well. But the emperor's central burial chamber remains unopened. Ancient records describe a subterranean palace with constellations above and rivers of mercury flowing through a model of the empire. Unusually high mercury readings have been detected around the burial mound, but nobody yet knows exactly what lies inside. Qin Shi Huang wanted his empire to endure for 10,000 generations. Instead, the Qin dynasty collapsed in 206 BC, only 4 years after his death. Yet many of his administrative reforms influenced China for centuries. His army of clay remained underground, his tomb survived, and his story became a warning. Qin Shi Huang proved that power can unite kingdoms, standardize systems, and reshape history. But power cannot stop time. It cannot guarantee loyalty, and it cannot purchase peace from the fear of death. The first emperor conquered 6 kingdoms, but in the end, the one enemy he feared most came for him quietly, far from home.